Hi, welcome to another Robservation. Today I wanted to tell a story from a few years ago that highlights two things. Number one, don't exclude people because you don't think they're in the target audience for error reduction. And number two is the importance of triggers. In the early 2000s, FIT developed a method of using triggers or clues and signals to recognize vulnerabilities so that you can do something about it before it drives an error incident. By recognizing the triggers, you can take action to manage a trap or performance mode in advance of it driving a bad outcome. Triggers have now become a norm in human and organizational performance and performance improvement and effective error management. Several years ago, we were working at a facility, and the facility was almost done with their workforce training. There was one individual that had delayed, and he finally got into the next to last class. But the reality was this individual, I like to call him the crusty pipe fitter, wasn't really in the target audience for error reduction and error prevention. They had just allowed that delay to happen. The crusty pipe fitter had been around this organization for almost 40 years. And the only thing that really changed about him was the size of his overalls. I think you know someone like this individual. And after the individual had gone to the training, he was assigned a task. And this task, the last 5 times that this task had been performed in the organization, it had caused some problems. It had caused some significant damage one time. It had to be redone every time. And another time, it had to be delayed to the point where they had to report to an organization that it had been delayed. They just couldn't seem to get this task right. So this time, they wanted to plan better and do it better. So they assigned the crusty pipe fitter to be involved in a part of the task where the individuals had to climb into a pipe chase and crawl about 50 feet and then stand up. And one of the previous times that the task hadn't gone well, they needed a pipe fitter to adjust something during the performance of the task, and they couldn't find one. So they assigned this individual to go in with him and sit on his bucket just in case they needed him. While an electrician and an instrumentation control tech were having a conversation about what they were doing, one of them looked at the other one and said, "I think we need to land this jumper now, don't we?" And the other one said, "I'm pretty sure we talked about that in the pre-task brief that we need to land the jumper now." The first one said, "Yep, I'm almost certain that this is the right time." And all of a sudden, the crusty pipe fitter stands up off his bug and says, "Whoa, wait a minute. Y'all just sent me to 8 hours of training, and you taught me this thing called triggers that said when somebody says, I think, I believe, I'm pretty sure, or I'm almost certain that their error rate could be as high as 50%. Did y'all not want me to use those triggers? Because y'all just use all of them in the same sentence." When they looked at each other and they looked at the pipe fitter and they said, "Well, yeah, but we think we've worked it out. And so we know what we're doing." And the pipe fitter says, "Well, you may think you know what you're doing, but I'm gonna leave because I don't think that you do." And he started crawling out of the pipe chase. So they followed him. They followed him all the way to the first line supervisor's office, where the supervisor asked what happened. And the two electricians, the electrician and the instrument tech said, "He won't let us do our job. We figured out when we're supposed to land this jumper, and we talked about it in the pre-task brief, and I mean, we're supposed to land it at this step in the process, right?" And the supervisor looked at him and said, "Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked about that in the pre-task brief." And the crusty pipe fitter said, "Whoa, wait a minute. You're the first line supervisor. Do you not pay attention to triggers? You just said you think or you believe or you're pretty sure. That's a 50% probability for error. Are we not going to pay attention to that?" And the supervisor, very frustrated, got down the print and pulled over the procedure and started mapping it through. And what the electrician and the instrument tech and the supervisor discovered was that that jumper would be landed in about 3 or 4 steps, and it was already covered in the process, and that was when it needed to be landed. So they all crawled back into the pipe chase. They completed the task successfully with no problems, and it was all done well with a good outcome. But the supervisor didn't let it drop there. He started looking at the print and looking at the procedure and pulling a couple of other prints and discovered that had they landed the jumper when they thought or believed or were almost certain they should have landed it, they would have initiated a flooding response that was designed to flood that pipe chase in less than a minute. I personally think that the electrician and the instrument tech may have been able to make their way out, but I don't think the crusty pipe fitter would have. The supervisor immediately thanked the pipe fitter for paying attention to the triggers. And here's my Robservation. Organizations may not always stress the importance of using triggers, the why behind it, and therefore they wait too long until an error occurs, or even after, to try to deal with it. Correction and mitigation is always harder than prevention. The leaders and workforce should know the triggers and understand how and why they need to deal with them as soon as they're recognized instead of waiting. Please take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe and share, and remember, intentional leadership starts with you.